Welcome everybody to another week of Game Wisdom Live. This is going to be for the week of April 20th, 2017, and it has been a tiring week to say the least. I scheduled a podcast and completely forgot about it on Tuesday. I woke up and I got an email, someone saying, "Hey, I'm ready for your cast today." I'm like, "Wait, there was a cast?" And I had to rush to get it going, and it was actually, and the best part, this was actually a pretty prolific cast. It was with a composer, Paul Leonard Morgan,
Oh
who's
wow.
doing the composing for Dawn of War 3. So we spent
hmm
about 30 minutes talking sound design and composing. But I basically had to just do an emergency Google what he's been up to at like 20 minutes before the cast. But it still went really well. We're on time. This is one of those things. It's gotten to the point where now I'm not only forgetting what games I bought, but now I'm forgetting what we have
What
podcasts.
what kind of podcasts are happening too? Yeah.
Yeah,
Getting
so
old, Josh, getting old.
I know. So that will probably go up next week to time it with the release of Dawn of War 3. I
hmm
asked for a press copy, and I'm kind of neutral about if I want to get it or not, because I'm pretty sure that game will blow up my old computer if I try to run it. Because the Dawn of War games have gotten very graphically intensive,
hmm
and at some point I need to play Total Warhammer. There we go. That is the
Yeah, I heard about that. Yeah, Total
eh,
Warhammer.
I have a friend who really want to get my thoughts on the DLC model for it, so I need to get that installed and hopefully not destroy my computer in the process.
hmm
But it's definitely been a very interesting week. For those of you who missed it, I did my second live presentation on Wednesday. I was in Camden to do my arcade talk again, this time in front of a group of teenagers. So it was definitely interesting. Of course, not being like in front of adults, I had to speed things up. I couldn't be as, technical with it as I did with the previous one. But they were all interested with it, and I kept their attention for the whole hour. So I
hmm
think that I think that was a success. I did manage to get some of it recorded. The problem is that my crappy cell phone, I can't send it from the cell phone to YouTube. So
Oh,
I
okay.
may just do something very low tech and like hold like the phone up to the camera here, and people can watch very grainy footage like that. El Gordo's been talking about the Blair Josh project, so
Oh
I think that
gosh.
will. I think was on to something with that.
Oh Gordo.
But it's been a crazy week in terms of game releases and stuff that's been going on. For tomorrow, I'm going to be posting the podcast we did last week with the developers of Asura. I think that was a lot of fun. That was, I think, our second time talking to a developer from India. I did
hmm
when I spoke with Rahul Sagal of Roach Interactive.
Yeah, that wasn't yeah, we had one
Mhm.
before as well, so.
Yeah. And in terms of the YouTube side, we are coming really close to 1,700 subscribers. We're at 1,654 as of today.
Nice.
Unfortunately, we lost a little bit in terms of the Patreon. So I want to get your guys' thoughts of any suggestions for either things to promote, goals, or I'm sorry, rewards. Any ways to try and get things moving along there. So if you have any suggestions, please let me know in the comments and all that. Other than that, it's been a tiring day. I woke up with, whenever the weather gets messed up, I get pressure in my head or in my sinuses. So I've been laying low for most of the day, trying to
hmm
sneak in little bits and pieces of playing Hollow Knight. I decided to pick that up as like a little bit of a reward for myself. I'm going to be doing a let's play of that. Have you seen Hollow Knight yet, James?
I have not.
It's a game that it's all done in a hand drawn aesthetic, and it looks
Oh,
like
okay.
really amazing. I showed you scenes of Cuphead, right? Or you know what Cuphead
Oh
is.
yeah, I know what Cuphead is.
It's like that kind of style. Like everything
Okay.
looks like it doesn't look like overly complicated, but it looks very clean and
hmm
very distinctive. So while I've only posted episode one of it, I've recorded I think three. So I may do like a double for tomorrow. I'm also going to, for those of you watching, I did make a post about streaming. I was going to tie that with a industry insight for today, but I just didn't feel up to doing a vlog. So that will be for tomorrow. Hi XP, thanks for coming on. It's been crazy week of emergency podcasts, live presentations, and sinus-related headaches, but we've survived. And it has been a very tiring time, but in terms of things that's been going on, it's been, I think, a few days since we last spoke. So how have you been, James?
Oh, good, good. Like I said, it's been really pretty easy week so far. So,
Mm-hmm.
but
Mm-hmm.
yeah, no, things are going pretty good. Getting
Mm-hmm.
ready to go to Jersey in about 2 weeks. I should be in Jersey.
Nice. Maybe you can
That'll be fun.
stop off and say hi around
Yeah, I'll
here.
have to stop by and say hi.
But in terms of games that have been coming out, there's definitely been some interesting game stuff that I've been playing. But
hmm
before I get to that, have you been playing anything new?
Yeah, I just apparently Skyforge is now brand new on that just got a PS4 release. So I heard about Skyforge when it came out on PC, but I never actually got a chance to play it. So
Mm,
but yeah, I'm actually trying it out, and it's kind of interesting. It's very interesting.
cool. I was just looking that up while you were saying it. So this is another multiplayer-based game.
Oh, it's an MMO for all
Oh,
intents
okay.
and purposes. Yeah, it's an action MMO.
Mm-hmm.
Um, yeah, it's very weird. It's very weird, especially even compared to some other MMOs. Like a lot of MMOs that I've played,
Mm-hmm.
uh, the story was very cut and dry, and you followed a path. And as you got to the more meat of the game, things started branching out. But it was all done, pretty obviously. And this one is not obvious at all. Like they do not make it obvious at all. Um, like I had to look up on the internet how to find out a lot of the stuff on it. So,
Ooh. Yeah,
mm,
that's never a good sign when, like, we've talked about this on many podcasts and stuff in the past, but it's never good when a game requires you to go outside the
it's
game
not.
to learn it. With, of
Yeah,
course, like if we're talking about something like the Secret World, where
yeah. Where that's
it's a
the
part of the
driving.
lore.
That's the driving.
Yeah.
Thing. The reason why people are playing that game. So,
Mm-hmm.
mm.
Yeah. And we had a really great conversation. Was James, again? You'll have to remind me because time has lost meaning. But when did we talk to Mitchell? Was that Monday?
Oh, yeah. I think was that Monday. Yeah, that was Monday. Yep, yep.
Again, I've lost all concept of time over here. But we had a really great conversation with Mitchell. He went to, or I'm sorry, he's done QA with Bethesda. He's going back there this summer, and he actually presented at GDC last year, or I'm sorry, 2017, and we spent almost, I think, over an hour talking about immersive sims and emergent gameplay,
hmm
and that was just a fascinating conversation. What did you think of it, James?
Oh yeah, no, it was definitely was a great conversation. So,
It was one of those casts that, again, we started going, oh, it'll only be like 40 minutes long.
it's
And then,
never only 40 minutes
yeah.
long.
And that's, and that should probably be our catchphrase for these discussions, too.
hmm
But, yeah, it was a really great conversation, and we're definitely going to want to have him back on in the future. And we talked about kind of how games bring players in, how the lore, mechanics, and design can either work together or fall apart.
hmm
Like with like classic examples like what we talked about with like games where your character is all powerful and then in a cutscene they get punched one time and they get knocked out. Or when I brought up Tomb Raider, and I hate to say that, the more I think about the last Tomb Raider and then Rise of the Tomb Raider, the more I'm just thinking they're not all that amazing games. I hate to say that.
mm
Did you play either one of the two new ones?
No. I specifically didn't because I knew that. Like, I don't know. They really did not look appealing to me.
Like it just, as we were talking about with Mitchell, it just felt like overly manufactured. Like
hmm
everything feels
Yep.
blocked around that.
hmm
But yeah, like emergent game design, that like we've talked about, I think I need to make another critical thought on it. It's definitely one of those holy grail kind of designs or topics where you're basically creating tools and mechanics that let the player completely experiment and create things you never thought were possible. And again, some good examples would be like Minecraft, Kerbal Space Program, and even what
Mm-hmm.
some people did with Shenzhen IO, the game from Zachtronics.
Mm-hmm.
Supposedly, someone took all because it's a game about making circuitry and stuff along those lines, and
Yeah.
someone apparently created a 2D platformer. They programmed the hardware to represent a 2D platformer in
Wow.
Shenzhen IO. And I had enough trouble just figuring out some of the basic puzzles, so I was never going to get that far in. But yeah, it's very hard to do that kind of immersion or immersive kind of design. And he talked about what he studied with the original Thief games. And one of these
Mm-hmm.
days, I need to play those games. Like actually sit down, play them for real. If we can ever find the time around here. Did you ever play the original Thief?
No, I haven't, although I've seen a lot of videos on it.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, it's another one of those games that's considered just a very big classic of PC games. And
Mm-hmm.
from what he was talking about, it really got me in the mood to play again. And he also brought up one of my all-time favorite games, Stalker: Shadows of Chernobyl,
Mm-hmm.
which that was an amazing game, one of my all-time favorites. And I'm still very sad and surprised we never saw that really continue. The company kind of folded after the expansion. But yeah, thank you, Olgor. That would be great about HD mods for Thief 1 and 2. Also, this week, I decided for a little fun on the stream was play Brutal Legend again. And have you played Brutal Legend, James?
Yeah, I got a
Mm-hmm.
chance to play it. That was one of those games I went over to a friend's house and played. That game is ridiculous.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I figure I'm going to use that kind of as like a off stream or like there's like a rainy day stream kind of game when there's nothing else to do, because
Uh-huh.
there is no way I can upload that to YouTube with all the licensed music and
Oh
expect
yeah,
YouTube to just let
yeah.
that one go.
Yeah, no, that's not happening.
Mel Gord, are you talking about the don't play the 2013 Thief? Is that the Thief with the 4 in the name, which I still know why they decide to do that?
'Cause it's cool.
It's extreme. That's the for all the young folks watching. But yeah, the Thief series very interesting. We brought up the difference between like a mechanic or a tool versus something that's very binary or a key, and we talked about the difference in the rain arrow, or I'm sorry, the rope arrow in Thief, and how the original it was designed just around you could use it against any one surface and it would work, but then with the modern ones it became a essentially a context sensitive action. So you could only use it in these specific spots. Now he also brought up Dishonored. Did you have a chance to play that one, James?
No, I never got a chance to. I mean, I saw it being played, but I never got a chance to play it myself. I heard really good things about it.
Yeah, it's on. It's another one of those games that's on my to-do list at some point to get around.
Hmm.
And I own the original one. I heard the second one won all kinds of awards, but it still
Yeah.
didn't do, I think, really well market-wise from what people were saying.
Hmm.
But I've been playing that, and for those who've been watching, we of course did a whole lot of Asura on the stream last week.
Well, of course, I mean, it makes sense.
Mm-hmm.
You had since you had the developer on.
Yeah, and we're going to be. I heard they're actually releasing an update to the game tomorrow, just in
Oh,
time
really?
for
Oh,
the
wow.
for when I'm posting the podcast for that.
Hmm.
Huh. Oh yeah, System Shock 2. That's another game on that list of some point I need to play. And when I was talking about a Brutal Legend, I brought up Sacrifice. Have you ever heard of Sacrifice, James?
No, I haven't.
That is a game from Shiny Entertainment. They were the makers of Earthworm Jim. It
Oh,
was
okay.
kind of like the whole stage battle system from Brutal Legend. It's
Hmm.
kind of like the next step from what Sacrifice did, which was real time battles at like the troop level. So you were like in the fields with your guys, leading them into battle, kind of thing.
Hmm.
It also,
Okay.
it also had like a ton of voice actors for the time too. I know like Brad Garrett was in the game. I think Tim Curry was in there too. Like thinking about Brutal Legend,
Really? Oh, wow, that's crazy.
I'm pretty sure Tim Curry voiced one of the characters in Sacrifice. Now that I think about it, Does anyone know if anyone from Sacrifice went on to work on Brutal Legend? Because there's a lot of similarities that are starting to pop into my head now, thinking about the two games.
Hmm.
Let's see. Question from Vision 85. Are you still doing Gwent? I think for streaming purposes, I will. For those, if you're interested in, I may just round out the. For those of you who don't know, I did two videos so far looking at the top or the most popular cards of Gwent, and I did Northern Realms and Nilfgaard. So I may end up just finishing it up with Monster, Scoia'tael, and Skellige. I don't know if I'm going to put any more like daily like plays of Gwent because I didn't see too much interest, but I think I may, if there's still enough interest for streaming purposes, I may still do it around here once in a while. And let's see, El Gordo, interesting fact: Corvo in Dishonored 2 is voiced by Steven Russell, who was the voice of the original Garrett from Thief. Huh, interesting.
Hmm.
He's found a niche playing thieves and assassins, I guess, but that's good.
Hmm.
Let me see. What else I was going to say about games played? No, I just. Oh, thank you. Are you talking about Vision? Are you talking about the gameplay, um, the actual plays of Nilfgaard, or my Nilfgaard kind of quote unquote guide that I did? While I'm waiting for that, I'm trying to think of what else. There's something else I did this week, or games I was looking at. I picked up Hollow Knight. That was one of them. Uh, I played Voodoo Vince. I think I mentioned that last week.
Yeah, I saw that. I saw that. Oh, how was that? How was that?
It's it's one of those very weird things. It came out during the height of the mascot genre for the whole platformer thing. Your
Hmm.
wow came. It's one of those things. There's so many games, my mind's blanking. It's very much in that old style. Levels that are just full of random collectibles. It is kind of rough to go back to play. I know, like, it seemed like the creator of Voodoo Vince like wanted to add up, make it a very unique game, but I just don't think it stands up as well as like Banjo Kazooie, Mario, and even something like Conker's BFD. One of these days, if I can ever get around to it, I really do need to like show Conker's BFD just for
Oh,
the
I love the
insanity
Conkers.
of
I
that.
love the Conkers games. They were so much fun.
Hmm. And I still remember back when like Rare originally revealed Conquer. I was like, this is gonna be a cute and friendly game, fun for the whole
Hmm.
family.
Oh my God, that was so hilarious.
And then I still remember I had to convince my mom. I was like telling her, yeah, it's just a cute game, Conquer. Like, don't worry about the AO rating. And when I'm
Hmm.
playing it, don't come near my room. Don't just stay away.
Yeah, just stay away. This is me
It,
time.
it's just for children. You wouldn't understand it.
You wouldn't like it. You wouldn't like it, definitely.
Oh yeah, yeah. I know. Vision. We're talking about Nilfgaard and such with Gwent. It is a hard faction to play. Like I said, if people want, I will be more than happy to stream. I just won't be as regular. I've been. Oh, that reminds me. I picked up or I got the press key for Flint Hook, which is the latest game from Mercenary Kings developer Tribute Games.
Hmm.
I'm liking it. It's basically it's very similar to the Binding of Isaac in how
Okay.
the levels are procedurally generated, but they're stitched together with set rooms. So you never know what you're going to get, but you have an idea, like when you enter a room, what you're going to run into, kind of thing. And they have like daily runs, weekly stuff like that. So I
Hmm.
figure to like switch off from Gwen, I can load up or play like a daily run of it because I know a lot of people do that with stuff like the Binding of Isaac and along those
Hmm.
lines. Let me see. We talked about System Shock. Yeah, with Gwen, I'm really, really hoping that we get another major patch. I was talking about that on the stream the other night. Basically, I got, oh my goodness, the pain. I had a night of just solid losses in Gwen, and
Oh,
I'm
wow.
sure if as you've played CCGs and like you know how painful it is to have like a night of
Oh,
nothing but
yeah.
losses.
Oh, yeah.
That's just a
I feel you on
gut
that.
punch. But yeah, I really do like Gwen. I actually heard they're announcing they're planning on doing a mobile version of Gwen, so that's very good. It sounds like CD Projekt is starting to put more and more into the game. So I'm
Mm-hmm.
hoping that we do see at least another major bounce patch because it is again like it's very much about that meta right now. Like there are some very established decks that
Mm-hmm.
everyone uses. Consume and Weather Monsters is really big. Northern Realms is just nasty to play with. And the
Really?
sad part is, I had a friend who just started playing Gwent the other night, and he was playing Northern Realms, but like a low. He doesn't have any of like the high end cards yet. And my Nilfgaard deck crushed him. And like a part of
Oh,
me was like, yeah, it feels great. But at the second part,
same
I
time.
realized that
Yeah.
basically the second he gets like one good card, he's gonna
Mm-hmm.
crush me. And I told him like I may be beating you now, but very soon if you keep playing, you will just kick my butt for night after night. Huh.
Mm-hmm.
Vision is saying they're adding over 500 cards next patch.
Oh, wow.
If that's true, that will certainly shake up
That's
the
really cool
meta.
that they're keeping up with this. You know what I mean? It's not just a gimmick to get a little extra dollars, but they're actually trying to make this a real viable thing, which I think that's
Yeah.
definitely deserves some recognition.
Yeah. And I hope that you can get a beta key for that too, James, because I would
Yeah,
love
yeah, I
to.
really want to, but they still haven't sent me anything, so.
Yeah, I would love to play that with you. Either I wonder if they're doing cross play between the PS4 and the different versions of it.
Oh, I highly doubt it. Very few people do crossplay at all. Like, I wouldn't doubt if they don't.
Hmm. It will definitely be interesting to see. Now, with the mobile update, though, they are definitely going for it. But yeah, it is definitely a challenging game to play right now. I'm just looking things up to see. And I'm not seeing any new news, at least on this end. Oh, I did
Hmm.
not hear about that, Vision. That they're changing directors for Cyberpunk 2077. That's the we talked about that, I think 2 weeks ago. That's the Cyberpunk
Hmm.
game that CD Projekt Red is working on.
Yeah.
And I haven't heard too much of it. It's have you played like many of the Cyberpunk S games in the past, James?
I mean, I played Fallout. Like I played Fallout 2. Didn't play Fallout 1, but I think that's probably about as cyberpunk as I've
Uh,
gotten.
I remember, and we're going to go back for this one, Shadowrun for the Super Nintendo.
I've heard of it. Yep.
That was a really interesting game. It was one of those games I think I played that I was way too young to appreciate that game. But it's
Hmm.
become very hard to find, and I honestly
Hmm.
don't know if it's available on the Virtual Console. Speaking of which, did you hear the news regarding the NES Classic Edition and then the SNES Classic Edition?
Oh yeah, yeah. I did hear something about that. Yeah.
Yeah, they've officially discontinued the NES Classic Edition this week.
Hmm.
I sent email to my on again, off again press contact over at Nintendo who they've done like very little for me. But I said, could you pretty please send me a NES Classic? I would love to look at it for the channel. So I have no idea if that will work at all. But um, other than that, it doesn't look like you're going to be getting a NES Classic Edition. Other
Hmm.
than the I believe they're doing one more printing, or there's going to be one more shipping. So of
Hmm.
course you know that probably within like 10 seconds of it going up, it's going to sell out.
Hmm.
And now there are rumors about the SNES Classic,
Oh
and
really?
Nintendo going to be doing something similar. I would love to get my hands on both just for the sheer fun of just being able to hold a NES and SNES in either hand. And maybe like
Hmm.
do a little bit of juggling with it, as I was talking about one of the critical thoughts. But yeah, if the NES Classic Edition did well, the SNES one is gonna. Oh my goodness, it's gonna sell out at
Oh yeah, definitely.
faster
Yeah.
than light speed,
Yep.
basically.
Nostalgia is in right now, so yeah, the
Es-
people are gonna eat that up.
Especially with the Super Nintendo's library. That the Super
Hmm.
Nintendo has like almost like pound for pound some of the most amazing games ever made. Secret of Mana, Final Fantasy. El Goro mentioned Super Metroid. Oh, yeah, they would be stupid not to include Super Metroid on that. And of
Hmm.
course, Earthbound, because we need more Earthbound in our lives.
Hmm.
Did did they ever bring it? For those of you who follow more Nintendo news than I do, did they ever release Mother 3 in the United States? I've heard yes and no. I heard it was going to come to the Virtual Console, then it didn't, then they were planning on doing it, and I just don't know anymore.
I don't think so. I don't think they ever did release Mother 3. Or did they release it for the No, 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 no. I don't think they did. Because I was gonna say I thought they might have released it for the as a downloadable or
Hmm.
like on the Nintendo store for your 3DS, but I think that's it. If they did, they might not have.
Yeah, there. When I look it up on Google, it just says rumors. It's coming. It's going to be coming. It's coming
Ah, okay.
soon.
All
Uh,
right.
I don't know. Maybe that's one of those strange things. Like it's gotten such a cult uh, group, a cult following to it in the United States,
Mm-hmm.
but Nintendo has just been mum about getting it over here,
Yep.
which is kind of interesting because Fire Emblem for a time was really like this just hidden game.
Mm-hmm.
Like Nintendo rarely advertised it, and
Mm-hmm.
now it's they are putting all their marketing dollars behind it with Fire Emblem Heroes, the last ones, and I'm sure. Oh yeah, there's been word about Fire Emblem Cross Shin Megami Tensei.
Ooh. That's interesting.
Yeah. I remember joking one year. I was saying Nintendo would never do like a Nocturne meets Fire Emblem meets like Smash Brothers game. Like that would be crazy. And well, I got 2 out of the 3 right, so that's good.
Mm-hmm. I don't know. A lot of Japanese whatchamacallits like do it like mixing and matching different genres. So
Hmm. But it'll be interesting to see what that means. And yeah, the Cyberpunk game, like going back to that, I have not heard too much about it. But I'm sure. But as we were talking about like last year or the week before, CD Projekt Red has certainly, or very rapidly, have earned a lot of goodwill with The Witcher. So I'm sure there will be a lot of eyes on it when it comes out.
hmm.
So let's see. I played Hollow Knight. I'm really liking it. Like it's basically like a 2D Metroidvania style game. So wander around, try to find good stuff, level or unlock new mechanics, and of course try not to die and lose all your resources, kind of thing.
Hmm. Of course.
But yet, very amazingly looking game, and I know we've talked about that like strong aesthetics before on the stream. But it's
Hmm.
always great when you see a game really go all in with like a unique aesthetic. It's one of the things I love about Clay Entertainment with what they do with like Don't Starve, Invisible Ink, and the like.
Hmm.
Speaking of which, I know that with Oxygen Not included, the upcoming game from them, they did release a big update to the game, which I did not cover at all. They
Hmm.
added in a new biome. Temperature is now a factor, and of course, they added in like clothing you can make and all that stuff. So it is definitely coming along. Oh, they did something with Stonehearth too. Like all the games I'm excited about are still in early access, so I can't play them, or I'm going to just ruin it. Let me see. Anything new with Auction not included? Yeah, just the thermal update right now. But yeah, I think they've been doing updates like every month for that.
Hmm.
Let me see. I'm trying to think about because we've done so many podcasts lately. Like we've had so many really good topics that have been like popping up there. We did, of course, the Shovel Knight one. Oh, I know when we spoke with the Shovel Knight guys last week. Again, they challenged me to find a Shovel Knight amiibo, and I think I finally found one. So I'm gonna try and pick it up over the weekend, and then make like a little ha ha video to them. That will show them right that I bought one of their.
Hmm.
Maybe we'll convince them to make the Terrapin amiibo, the turtle from Spectre Knight. But very, I'm hoping that we'll see more from them. When we were talking to them last week, it sounded like they were starting to come up with an idea for a brand new game. So here's hoping that they're going to do something new.
Hmm. Yeah, that'd be kind of interesting to see what those guys can pull off. I mean, like I say, we in meeting them, it's really amazing to see, what those guys are about and
Mm-hmm.
how what their creation process is and stuff. So,
Yeah, and again, it reminds me when we talked with Jake Perquette about trying to plan for the future with their company rather than just putting all their eggs in one basket with Shovel Knight.
hmm
Speaking of which, I know Jake is still working on Shadowhand. I'm really hoping to get my hands on that one. That was when we were talking about the solitaire esque RPG. And I know he is still working hard on that. I think he was supposed to be out in April. I think it's been delayed, unfortunately.
hmm
But I know I think you were interested in trying the one out too. So I'm curious
yeah, yeah.
when we both get our copies about how that will turn out.
hmm
Let me see anything else going on. Oh, and for those of you watching, as a sneak peek for next week, we may be doing another live discussion. I did hear back from Jan from Battle Brothers, and we may have something for Monday. I'm still waiting to hear confirmation. We were supposed to do something either today or tomorrow, and then he sent me an email saying that there's a big emergency coming up. So hopefully I'll hear from him maybe tomorrow to lock things down, but we'll hopefully get something going along those lines next week. And we still have that podcast we did with him to post. So
hmm
that'll be very nice to sit down and talk with him about what's been happening with Battle Brothers.
Oh yeah, definitely. And see where that how far that's come so far.
Hmm I did get a press key for this game called Planet Nomads. It's another one of the open world survival games. I haven't had
hmm
a chance to sit down and play it yet, so if I get around to, I will try that one out.
hmm
But yeah, we're finally getting out of the winter season of no games. Now that we're in spring,
hmm
we're getting
Yeah, all
games
the
after.
games out the wazoo. Yeah, I've
Hmm
been seeing a lot of people stream Orcs Must Die. Apparently,
Interesting.
that's been popping up in popularity, at least on YouTube. So,
Hmm. Yeah, we of course, for those of you who don't know, we spoke with Stanley Peterson, who he designed the board game for Orcs Must Die, and that podcast will be going up, I think, in 2 weeks to time to the Orcs Must Die Kickstarter.
hmm
But Orcs Must Die has definitely had a very interesting run. It went from being this pseudo tower defense game, then they made it free to play, and then that didn't do well, so then they changed things around, and then they removed some modes, and now it's called, I think it's Orcs Must Die Unchained with the Sabotage update, and that officially was released, I want to say either yesterday or Tuesday that was done. And I played a little bit during the beta, so maybe we'll pop that back on the stream to see what's been going on.
hmm
But yeah, they definitely ran into some trouble because people were expecting another Orcs Must Die in the retail vein. They weren't really happy to play a free to play version of it.
Hmm. Which is kind of interesting. Normally, people are,
Hmm
buzzing at the free to play option.
hmm But yeah, it had a lot of the monetization tactics, which a lot of people, of course, aren't big fans of. I know. I forget if we talked with that with Mitchell or was that Zane about
I
pay to
think it was
win.
Zane.
Yeah,
Zane. Yeah.
about the challenge of avoiding that balance of pay to win, and it's basically like part for the course. Anytime there's a free to play game, someone will ask if it's pay to win. I think at that
hmm
point.
Yeah, very much so.
Other news, I think we also are. I've been slowly but surely going through Persona 5. And I think right now I just finished the third palace of it. So I've officially gone past the point where they are being very um, closeted or closed off about doing any kind of streaming or record videos on.
hmm
So very interesting. And despite that, it's been getting a lot of praise. I've been seeing a lot of good reviews for it. Although I've heard some people complain about the localization. Have you heard anything about that, James?
No, no, I haven't. What are they saying?
They're saying that they didn't do a really good job of localizing the text or the dialogue for the game.
hmm
Eh, I am not. I don't follow too much of that, so I can't say yes or no. But That does take me to a very interesting topic, and this is the one that I made a post about. I want to get your thoughts on this one, James, because we've been talking about this on the Twitch stream and on YouTube a bit, and that is regarding streaming games. And for those of you who don't know, there's always been that debate as to whether or not gamers are entitled to stream footage from video games,
Hmm.
and it's been a very heated debate in terms of what happens when someone says no. Like when we saw with Atlas, when Atlas, of course, made an announcement they didn't want people streaming it, the internet, blew their collective gasket. And I mean, on YouTube, it seemed like every YouTube creator was making like a video saying "Screw Atlas, how dare you" and stuff like
Yeah,
that. And
yeah.
hi, Kevin, thanks for joining tonight. And it raises that very interesting discussion about whether that you are entitled to stream or record game footage. And I know XP and I, we've been talking about that on YouTube and the Twitch stream. And XP is certainly in favor of preventing that. Or if the developer says they don't want your game to be streamed, then
Oh,
that
really?
should be, locked, basically. Like,
Huh.
that should be, like, the developer's choice. If they say, we don't want your game to be streamed, then people should abide by it. And
Huh.
again, it raises very interesting discussions.
Yeah,
And
but whose property is the game once it
mhm,
is bought? You know what I mean? So,
man, but it does raise some really interesting points. Again, fair use does cover a lot of this in terms of the transformative factor. But the question, though, is just how much does the consumer or the streamer really, or I guess, affecting or transforming this content? Like, for instance, I would agree with XP about like narrative driven games. Like if you're playing something like any of Telltale's titles, which is a 100% linear experience,
hmm.
then it's kind of weird to stream that because in those cases you really can only experience those games once. Now, if we're talking about something like The Darkest Dungeon or The Binding of Isaac, where it is replayable, like no two people will have the exact same run, then I
Hmm.
think that would be a different story.
Yeah, but who's to say what is a narrative game and what's not? Like, you know what I mean? Like, I think at a point, almost anybody could be like, "Well, my game has a narrative. I don't want anybody seeing it," and you know what I mean?
Hmm.
And I don't know. Like, and you're like, I've definitely, especially being in this job, seeing the development side of things, I definitely understand where the developer's coming from. You know what I
Hmm.
mean? They're like, hey, I don't want people, I don't want people ruining the
Hmm.
game. But at the same time, we also kind of live in an age of
Hmm.
we everybody knows about everything already. You know what I
Yeah.
mean? Like if you don't legalize it, someone's gonna do it black market. Like
Yeah.
it's gonna happen.
Yeah.
So
And that's what when El Gore was on the chat, we were talking about this the other night as well. That at this point, so many people consider it a given that if you try to go against the grain, you're always going to be looked at as being the bad guy. Like it's very
mm,
hard to be the voice that says no when everyone else says yes. And I think the other point is that it happened so fast that again, like no, the industry really had the chance to, say yes or no to it. Just
mm,
one of these, and that's one of those weird things. Again, like for us older guys, I remember one day there wasn't streaming in Let's Plays, and then the next day it just everyone was doing it.
yeah, yeah, it's kind of become yeah, again, let's say human growth. We've been technology wise, we've been just busting
Mhm.
out overnight. So we gotta kind of deal with that.
Yeah. And of course, El Gordo is right. We are recording this on 420, which is the perfect day to talk about legalizing and all that.
Ha ha ha.
Hmm.
I get
Yeah.
it.
Hmm. And that's kind of the thing about when it comes to like showing this content off. Like, there is a big difference between someone showing a cutscene from a game versus someone just literally just streaming the entire game from start to finish.
Hmm.
And Golda was telling me about this that there are some people who just literally stream no commentary plays of video games, and that I think is really stretching it. I think that doesn't belong under fair use. Like if you were just literally streaming the game with no
Hmm.
commentary. It's just someone watching someone else play a game. I think that doesn't belong in fair use. What do you think?
Yeah, that's weird to say because I remember watching like old X plays and stuff
Hmm.
like that, late night of just game streaming. And like, keep in mind, I still don't understand what like, it's free at the end of the day. It
Hmm.
still is free advertising. You know what
Hmm.
I mean? Like, you're not. I don't think developers are losing out on it as much as they think they are. You know
Hmm.
what I mean? And especially in the world that we live in, where
Hmm.
streaming is kind of what people do. It's a normal thing. Like,
Yeah,
it's
that's and
that.
yeah,
Yeah.
that's the tricky part because again, there I wish there were an XP or anyone in chat or recorded. If you know this, please let me know. Has there been any hard data on just how much, like on like streaming affecting game sales, or
Mm,
spoiling affecting game sales essentially? Like, for instance, like for a game like Final Fantasy or The Walking Dead or anything that's narrative driven. Like if someone again just uploads the ending, just how much does that affect the sales?
yeah.
And again, it's just very hard to find accurate numbers. And
Yeah.
I want to go back to what XP was saying. It's easy to stream something than to actually make something original, and that is definitely true. There is
Uh,
a
okay. What do you mean by that? Like, it's easy to stream something.
It's easy to just record like footage of a game rather than doing the transformative side of it.
Yeah, I guess so. Yeah, I'll give you that. It's almost like
Hmm.
anybody can just stream a game.
Yeah,
Yeah. So.
and I like to say that I do. I like to add my own personal touch to things. I hope I'm doing that at least.
Hmm.
But yeah, I like you can watch a lot of like lesser quality streams or YouTubers where it's just them going, "Yes, this is happening."
Yeah.
Okay, okay.
Yeah.
It's
Well, I
not.
mean, here's the free thing, the
Hmm.
free enterprising of YouTube.
Hmm.
If people are enjoying that, then that's going to work.
Hmm.
But if they're not, then that YouTuber is not doing anything. Like, he's
Yeah.
not reaching an audience.
Hmm.
It's what put it this way: if it's working, you're getting advertising for your game. If it's not working, then
Hmm.
that guy's not going to be hasn't he's not going to have anybody viewing his channel anyway. So you're not
Yeah.
losing anything.
Yeah.
Like, I don't know.
And XP just brought up a really good point about a game like The Witness, which, for those of you who don't know, that is the puzzle title from Jonathan Blow. I can't believe I just forgot his name. And that game is another one that is strictly 100% linear. It's all about solving set puzzles.
Hmm.
So if someone just watches all the endings, or all the endings of the game, do they need to still play the game? And
Hmm.
that I think is where there is some debate. And again, I think it's a game by game basis. Like again, something like Space Camp, for instance, that while the puzzles are set, it is about nonlinear thinking. So you can do a whole lot in that game. That is different from, say, a game like again The Walking Dead, or even something like Uncharted or Gears of War, like in terms of the story campaign, that you're following a linear set of events.
Hmm.
But it's always,
Mm,
but as you said, James, that the world has just moved so fast.
yeah, yeah. That's kind of become the norm. Like, it's
Hmm.
just,
Hmm.
yeah.
And again, when things move so fast like that, when you become that voice that says no, it's basically the record scratch moment. I guess that's what I'm trying to say.
Yeah,
No,
yeah.
you don't want to stream. How dare
Yeah.
you?
Well, and I think people have the right to their stuff, but at the same time, like,
Mm-hmm.
again,
Mm-hmm.
we live in that world
Mm-hmm.
where it's kind of everybody has a lot of that stuff.
Yeah.
It's easy access.
Yeah. And for a lot of indie developers, it's become a major part of their marketing as well.
Hmm.
And that's kind of the other point, that there's been many cases where streaming and YouTubers have helped games get noticed and sold. The
Yeah.
Duskers, Renowned Explorers, Binding of Isaac. I'm sure Flint Hook is doing well.
Hmm.
So it's kind of become like this mutual benefit. The YouTuber slash streamer gets the money and the streaming or the subscribers, the developer gets the advertising. But it still comes down to whether the developer says yes or no. And I know for me, like whenever I get a press copy of a game, I am always inclined to follow their NDA, or I'm sorry, the embargo for it. Like if they say don't stream past so and so, I'm not going to stream past it.
Yeah, yeah.
But I think, as you were saying, and as what we were talking about with Persona 5 like 2, 3 weeks ago, when you tell someone not to do it, they're going to do it. And they will do it just to spite you in many cases. Like,
Hmm.
again, with Persona 5, there have been people who've been putting up spoiler videos, and, they don't care. They are just, because they were told not to do it, they're going to do it.
Hmm. Yeah.
Yeah.
Which is sad
Hmm.
because, like, I mean, I think in all retrospect, if somebody asked you not to do it, like whether or not you agree with them or
Hmm.
not, like that's them asking you. You know what I mean? They're
Yeah.
being nice. They don't. They're like they could be like, well, I'm suing you, so,
Hmm.
and then you'd kind of be screwed. You know what I mean? Like, not that they would, but just that's if they're being nice about it and not being a prick. Try not to be a prick either. Like,
Yeah. Yeah, exactly, Okoro. Don't do it equals doing it harder. Yes, exactly.
yeah.
Yeah, and yeah, there are a lot of people who did the whole clickbait titles. Screw Atlas. Atlas banning Persona 5. Blah blah blah, and all that. But I guess that's another point I want to ask you about, James, and for you folks watching. Do you
Hmm.
think if someone says they don't want their game to be streamed, do you think there should be a statute of limitations saying that, let's say, you can control what footage about your game exists until X time has passed? Like, let's say after 2 months of your game out there, anything goes, basically. Do you think there should be some kind of established guideline like that?
That's a tricky subject
Mm-hmm.
too. Yeah, because now we're getting into like copyright laws and
Mm-hmm.
stuff like that. That's a big topic. That's a
Yeah.
really big topic.
Yeah, and it's again one of those topics that a lot of sites and developers don't really talk about.
Hmm.
It's one of the things that we love doing here, that's for sure. And one of the things, like just as a quick aside, one of the things that we really do love is being able to talk to all these developers about this.
Hmm.
But yeah, it's just very. And again, like the problem though is that the video game industry is completely decentralized. You cannot. It's impossible to say every developer can you agree on one topic because
Yeah.
we have the studios that are worth millions upon millions of dollars, and then you have like 2 or 3 man studios that they work out of their home in virtual offices. And how can you make something that works for everybody? But yeah, I think, but I do agree that it is up to the developer's discretion. I think ultimately it should always fall back on them. And I think the majority of the time, the streaming recording is going to be beneficial. Again, if you want to get free advertising for your game, if you want people to know about it, you need to give it to the hands of people who have an audience.
Yeah.
But I think there are cases where the developer should be free to say, well, you can stream my game, but maybe don't go beyond the 50% point. Or if you get to this boss or this cutscene, maybe don't show it. Stuff like that.
Nah. I still think to what, like, my question would still be to what end?
Mm-hmm.
Like, it's
Mm-hmm.
that's a nice way of set, like, that in a perfect world.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, that'd be awesome,
Yeah.
but like that's not the real world we live in. We live
Mm-hmm.
in the world of, hey, don't show people this until 50% way through.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, what is the difference between showing somebody 50% of the first half,
Mm-hmm.
between the second half? what's
Mm-hmm.
what's the difference there? There's no real difference.
Mm-hmm.
So, like, you know what I mean? Like, I don't, to look at your audience and be like, well, they're not going to watch this far, but
Mm-hmm.
they will watch that. If somebody wants to watch your game,
Yes.
they will find a way.
Then
They will
that's.
find a way. Before they were streaming, we just went over to each other's
Mm-hmm.
houses. Like, I would just go over to my brother's house or my
Yeah.
my friend's house, and oh my God, like Nintendo didn't jump out of Nintendo 64 and be like, you can only stream up to the Forest Temple.
Mm-hmm.
Like, you know what I mean? Like, people are gonna Well,
Yeah, that's
you're not going to stop it. You're not going to stop it.
yeah.
And if you're not going to stop it, work with the people.
Hmm.
Work with the streamers. Give them I'd rather see them maybe giving incentives to streamers as opposed to you know what I mean? So,
That, but I can also see that causing trouble as well. Like saying, "Oh, if you're a good streamer, we'll give you additional coverage" or stuff like that, because then people will cry corruption. And again, it's one of those topics that it is just
yeah.
very.
Any way you look at it, it's going to be a sticky wicket. Yeah.
Mm. But as you said, and I agree with you on that one, James, that if someone wants it, they're going to find a way. It's
Yeah.
the same thing with piracy. There is no such
Yeah.
thing as an uncrackable game.
Yep.
And if someone die hard wants to be spoiled on Persona 5, they're going to figure it out. They will do anything and everything for that. And let me see what we got here. Streamers should pay royalties to the developers. That's another interesting.
Streamers should pay royalties to the developers.
But then we're entering into the idea of a contract, and that
Yeah,
opens
yeah.
up even again. Every solution causes more problems somewhere else. It's like trying to. I can't even think of a good. It's like almost like trying to balance like a three-legged chair or three-legged something along those lines. That no matter
Yeah.
how you try and do it, it's going to get off somewhere else.
Yep. Yeah.
And And as Thorne said, if they do that, then why would you make your content? Like, why would someone? That's the other point about that. There are so many games coming out
Yeah.
right now that, and I mean, what we do here is proof positive. I mean, right now I got 4 or 5 different games I can play. If
Yeah.
someone decides to make it harder for me to stream or record, it's not like I have nothing else to do.
Yeah.
And you are right, Thorne, about that's how what Nintendo does. That in order, if you only have two options, if you want to do something with Nintendo, you either get partnered with them and then you split the revenue with them, or they're just going to take the revenue 100%.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Hmm.
and that's the other point. Like what Gore was saying is that for a lot of this is considered advertising.
Yeah, that's what I was saying. Like, yeah, I don't that's where I don't get where a lot of the anger is coming from.
Hmm. Man, and again, I think it's based on the game and based on what's going on there. Oh, all right, Malik. Yeah, if you want to subscribe to the YouTube channel, that is fine. Yeah, I'm trying to keep my subscription list low just because I'm doing a lot more with content rather than subscribing. But yeah, thanks for the mention. And this actually takes me to and that there's another big topic that I wanted to talk about, but we may save that. We are at just an hour into the stream, and again, like we said, 45 minutes, so that never happens. But
Hmm.
as I guess a preview, and this will probably be a post for next week, I want to talk about the debate about returning digital games or being able to refund them, and whether or not that should be a right or whether there should be limitations in that beyond just the stuff we see on Steam. But
Mm.
another piece of news I wanted to bring up before we forget, I mentioned this a few days ago, is of course Tencent. Do you know the company Tencent, James?
Yep. Oh yeah. Oh yeah. Yep. They just bought out they bought out Riot a couple
Mm-hmm.
years ago, didn't they?
They bought Riot, they bought Supercell, and
Hmm.
I'm sure I heard they also have some minority holdings in Epic Games as well.
Oh wow, really?
Yeah, and they're planning on. Oh yeah, and by the way, when I looked them up on Wikipedia, they have a market worth of $250 billion. So
Yeah, that's some walking around, that's some walking around money.
yeah, they're planning on changing their distribution platform to try and be something similar to Steam.
Hmm.
And that is going to be very interesting to see if they can compete with Steam in
With
some way.
Steam. Yeah, yeah, no, yeah, because Steam's kind of a big hitter.
Hmm. Oh, and speaking of which, about like Steam and all that, I heard that they're doing a soft relaunch of Heroes of the Storm with Blizzard in a few days.
Yeah. Oh, and it's coming in a few days, actually.
hmm
Oh, really?
Supposedly, if you just sign on after the 25th, you'll get like a ton of rewards. They're trying to bring people
Hmm.
back.
Well, yeah. And what about the loyal? Did they say? I can't remember what they said about the people that are already own
Mm,
the game or have already
I
downloaded the client.
don't know. Oh, and by the way, they also, according, no Heroes of the Storm on Steam, not yet, sadly, but
Yeah,
Battle
that is kind of weird that no Heroes of the Storm. Oh no, because Blizzard has their own
Battle. Well,
thing, Battle.net.
It's not even called Battle.net anymore. They got rid of that. It's just
Oh,
been
really?
branded Blizzard. They wanted to not confuse the brands, I guess. But speaking of Blizzard, it came to my attention that they did a soft beta launch for the Diablo 3 expansion. So there are
Mm-hmm.
people who are playing the Necromancer beta already, and I
Mm.
secretly hate them all right now for doing that before me. But
But it's kind of interesting that Blizzard went that route.
mhm,
Where I know nostalgia is really popular right now. But it's kind of interesting that they went that route of bringing back an old school character as opposed to making a brand new one.
mhm, yeah, and they're of course going to be doing more. They also made StarCraft 1 and 2. It's now officially free, so you can now download it from the site.
Wow, really?
And they're going to do a paid HD update later in 2017.
Mm.
So I was thinking about making that the dissecting design for next week, at least the original StarCraft, once I
Oh, that
get that
there you go.
downloaded. But yeah,
Hmm.
and StarCraft, of course, being a very important game in terms of the PC industry and all that. I was just thinking of something, and now I can't remember. Yeah, it is surprising that I think one that's kind of surprising to me about Heroes of the Storm is that they're still keeping with it. Because I
Hmm.
know when we were talking about this a few months ago, you were like, it's like there's very little
Yeah,
fanfare for it.
yeah. It's definitely not as big as I think one they would have liked or that that they thought it was going to be.
Yeah. And when I spoke with Josh from PvP Live, he said like the same thing. Like it kind of seemed like Heroes of the Storm was going to be like a quiet death for Blizzard, but
Yeah.
they are still.
Blizzard is a we do not fail lightly company. So
hmm
yeah, be interesting to see what happens there.
I mean, they were able to turn around Diablo 3, so
Hmm.
it's very likely maybe this will be the year for Heroes of the Storm.
Well, and also they just there's a new Hanamura map and they added Genji as a playable character in Heroes of the Storm. So they're basically really integrating
hmm
The Overwatch pantheon into that, which is going to be interesting to see what comes of that, considering the fact that Overwatch has a pretty damn huge fan base.
hmm That's been one of Blizzard's MO over the last few years, is basically cross branding all their games together.
Hmm.
So you
Yeah.
play Overwatch, you'll get like rewards for Heroes of the Storm. You play Heroes of the Storm, you get rewards for Hearthstone. Hearthstone gets you Diablo. Diablo gets you World of Warcraft, and
Hmm.
all around. And it's very effective marketing. Let's face
Oh
it.
yeah, oh yeah,
It's
yeah. You can't argue with it. Like it works.
hmm I mean, it's what got me to try out like Hearthstone. I got like a free card pack for getting the Diablo 3 Collection Edition.
Hmm.
But I am afraid for Blizzard, I don't think there's any marketing promo they're going to do to get me to play World of Warcraft. I think that may be pushing it. But who knows? We'll see whatever crazy idea they have next. But yeah, when it comes to that kind of branding, Blizzard is just masters at it. They're probably one of the few
Oh yeah.
companies who are. Like I maybe Valve. They've done a little bit of cross branding.
Nintendo. You can't rule out
Of
the big
course,
guy.
Smash
Uh,
Brothers.
well, yeah. Well, like Nintendo very much is
Mm,
its not just its brand, but its characters and
mm,
its its characters are its brands and not just because we grew up with
mm,
them, but because of their impact on the gaming community and the gaming in general.
mm. And it's very interesting. There are very few companies who have that kind of branding ability. Again, like we could probably just count them on one hand these days. Like, would you consider like Sony being similar, or do you think they just don't have?
Um, The biggest problem I'd say with Sony's really very rarely been able to say, "Hey, this is a Sony license," or a Sony
Hmm.
character. You know what I mean? Not Banjo Kazooie. Spyro was very much a big
Hmm.
Sony thing. When people thought like if you notice, there's no character
Hmm.
that stands out in Sony where you can look and be like, oh yeah, I know that character. That's such a Sony character. You know what I mean? As opposed to
Hmm.
a lot of Nintendo. If you see
Of course.
Mario, well, I don't even need to say it, but
Yeah.
like Riot Games is kind of getting, if Riot starts making, other properties,
Hmm.
but I think Blizzard is honestly on that level of Nintendo kind of thing where it's
I would
like,
agree with that.
yeah, where like their characters are spread across different franchises
Hmm.
and they're really recognizable
Hmm.
as, they're really recognizable
Yeah.
among a lot of their franchises, you know what I mean?
Yeah, and again, getting back to that cross branding, it's basically like a match made in heaven. They can take a really popular
Hmm.
character of Overwatch and put it into Heroes of the Storm, or they could possibly do something vice versa, or maybe have a special skin in Heroes of the Storm that can
Uh-huh.
show up in Overwatch,
Yeah.
or have like a pet from a character in one of those games be in Diablo 3,
Which
or
is yeah,
World of
yeah.
Warcraft, and it just again it never stops their marketing
Hmm.
machine like that.
Which is really good. I think that's amazing in the fact that like their brand is recognizable and so
Hmm.
are their
Yeah.
characters.
And as Thorne and Gore are talking about in chat, one of the challenges, of course, is having the budget to do something like that. And there are very few companies who have the
Oh yeah.
money like Blizzard, Nintendo, and Valve.
Uh-huh. Yeah, so true.
I mean, Nintendo, like, they did the. Oh, Thorne saying Ubisoft, but they don't have any actual characters. That is true.
No, Ubisoft.
Rayman?
I'd say no. Wait, am I thinking? The Ubisoft is the whatchamacallit franchise. Oh my God! What? See, and the very fact that I can't mention it is like proving your point. But they're the Assassin's Creed people, right?
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Yeah, I'd say the Assassin's Creed kind of stands out. Assassin's Creed, which is also part of the Far Cry, they have these big games that I'd say
Mm-hmm.
that really stand out. But as far as like individual characters go, I wouldn't put them up like that high.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. They used to do, like, Prince of Persia, but that's kind of disappeared as well. I was
Hmm.
really hoping to see more.
Well, Prince of Persia, because let's face it, Prince of Persia is Assassin's Creed. That's what it is.
Mm-hmm.
Like that's what it became. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like,
If someone from Ubisoft is watching this, they should totally just they should just finally go full circle and just put the Prince of Persia in one of the Assassin's Creed game. Make the Prince of Persia one of the assassins. There we go. I just create. I just
be careful, Josh.
I
He
just
actually might already be it. Sorry, go ahead.
I just announced Assassin's Creed 7 right there. There you go. I
Uh-huh.
just revealed it.
Yeah, but be careful. He might already actually be in that one of those games. Like, remember the first game does take place
Hmm.
in the Middle East.
Hmm.
You know what I mean? Like it's I don't know. I wouldn't doubt that. I wouldn't put it past Ubisoft to put something like that in there.
Hmm. And maybe at some point we will see Beyond Good and Evil again, because that's been our long-standing game that they've been, pulling like by a leash to get people excited. Did you ever play Beyond Good and Evil?
No, I have seen it played though.
Yeah, and of course Rayman. But I don't think Michel Ansel still work at Ubisoft? He was the creator of Rayman.
Hmm. I don't know. I don't
Assassin's
know.
Creed Watchdog. Exactly, Thorn.
Oh my God.
Oh goodness. Yeah, they really do like their open world.
Uh-huh.
Yeah, that's right, Elgar. They've been talking about Beyond Good and Evil 2 now, but it seems like it's one of those very long in development games. Did you ever play Watch Dogs, by the way, James?
No, no, I haven't. A friend of mine did, and he said he thoroughly enjoyed it.
Mm.
So.
That is another one that I missed out on. There's
Oh, you
so
oh you didn't get a chance to play it either.
no. I
Uh-huh.
still need to play Metal Gear Solid 5. Who am I kidding? I need to
Oh,
finally finish the series all because I've played all the other ones.
uh-huh.
But yeah, let's see, Ubisoft. Yeah, there just aren't a lot of like outside, of course, of the major names. Very few companies these days have gone with like a mascot driven properties.
Yeah.
Like again, like with like the Tom Clancy series, it's the Tom Clancy name that
Oh yeah,
drives it.
yeah,
There's not
yeah.
like there's no one in the game that like pulls you in. But that was kind of the big thing. Yeah, that's right, Thorn. I need to finish the Dark Souls DLC too at some point. And I know Neo's getting its DLC. I think in the next few weeks. But yeah,
Hmm.
there's not a lot of like the mascot driven period seems to have died out because as we were talking about earlier, like the mid '90s to early thousands, that was kind of
That
like
was the
peak.
mascot period?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Hmm. And that's what I heard that Metal Gear Five. It like a lot of people didn't like the ending to it, but there's so much to do with that. I know probably won't be having time soon, but I would love to talk to Hideo Kojima about that. That would be a really great podcast to have.
Oh yeah, yeah. We'll just get Kojima on the cast. That'd be lovely.
Yeah, I know. Let me email him tonight. Let me see if we can do that.
Yeah, yeah. Let's see. Yeah, see what's going on with that.
That would be hilarious. That would be like the one time we actually get a response. But
Uh-huh.
I'm not putting much faith in that one. But yeah, we still need to find a developer from Japan to talk to. Like I said, we've talked to every continent except for Antarctica and Japan on our podcast. So we just need two more, and we can say that we are literally worldwide.
Yeah, that's true. Yeah,
Mm-hmm.
we're almost there.
Mm-hmm. Oh, did you hear about the Near Automata DLC that they were talking about this week?
Mm-mm.
That one of the DLC bonuses is you have to fight the actual head of Square Enix.
Ha 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 ha.
He's a final boss. He's an optional Uber boss in the game, and they did something like that in Final Fantasy 15 or 16 too. I think.
I love it.
Why is the Square Enix boss wanting to become the final fight in these
I
games?
love it. I love it.
There's gotta be some context there that we're missing.
That we're missing. Yeah, something's up there.
Mm-hmm. Oh, and have you been hearing like anything about the creator of Nier Automata, Goru Toro? I think that's his name. Have you heard?
Nah. I haven't
Like
heard anything about him.
the story goes that he refuses to show his face in public, so he wants to remain mysterious. So he wears like one of the robot masks whenever he does any kind of press conference.
And were we just talking about marketing ploys?
Eh. But he sounds like one of Yoko Taro. My mistake. I think I just combined names there. Yoko
Uh,
Taro. Yeah, like I guess shine on you crazy diamond there. That's all I have to
uh-huh.
say. But
Hey, to each their own, right? I
hmm
mean,
and
whatever floats your boat.
speaking of Japanese games, Bayonetta finally came out on the PC this past week.
Oh wow, really? That's a win-win for
That's
you guys.
that's very big because the action genre we really haven't seen it too much on the PC side. The PC got like ports of Devil May Cry and DMC, but in terms of like getting like new action games, it's been very off because Japan has always been like at least in the past they've been very hard about doing PC ports of their games.
Mm-hmm. Hmm.
But yeah, I hope this is a sign, like especially with like a niece doing the Disgaea series too.
Mm-hmm.
So maybe we're finally starting to see them open up about doing more. Uh,
Computer ports.
mm-hmm. Oh yeah, that's right. The Assassin's Creed creator is now doing another new game with monkeys. Okay. Um, like at this point,
Yeah.
there's very little that can surprise me when a developer announces something. We saw
Mm-hmm.
again with Hiro Kojima's latest game with whales dying and people giving the guy holding a baby. Like it will all make sense, right? It must make sense for the end.
Hideo Kojima's mind is a fantastical place in every sense of the word.
So is Suda 51. That would be
Hmm.
another guy I would love to talk to. Because oh my goodness, the amount of things we could say about Killer 7.
Yeah.
Mm-mm. But we are certainly running late here. We're now
Yeah.
an
Yeah.
hour
Definitely.
10 in, and I need to rest my voice. I think I will do some streaming. Maybe we'll do a little bit of Gwen. Like I said, I don't think we'll do like uh, daily uploads of it, but maybe like every other day or every few days. Oh yeah, of course, Let It Die as well for Suda 51. That game has gotten me in trouble with its fan base because they didn't like my review of it. But that, my
Hmm.
friends, is a story for another time. But I'll be back with some streaming tonight. I think I'll do a double upload of Hollow Knight tomorrow or today for those of you watching this recorded. Be sure to tune into our podcast with one of the developers of Asura. Yeah, that is true, Thorn. Maybe we should do something on System Shock. Yeah, maybe Stalker if I can get that installed again. We've gone from not having a lot of games to talk about to having tons, so we'll see what happens. But
Hmm.
yeah, Thief 2. Maybe we'll turn it into a stream, but I'll be definitely doing some streaming tonight once I fill my drink up and rest a little bit. There won't be a industry insight for tonight. I just don't feel like doing a vlog at this point, but I'll be doing the vlog about the streaming games post for Friday, so that'll be up for you guys watching this recorded. But anyway, thanks so much for tuning in, whether you've been watching this live or recorded. Like I said at the beginning, if you have any suggestions for the Patreon side of things, goals, rewards, anything like that, please let us know in the comments or whatever. And because it will just greatly help us out if we can get things going along there. And if we do, it will mean more content for you folks to enjoy as well, if we can hit some of those goals. But thanks for watching this episode of Game Wisdom Live. Like I said, be sure to tune into the podcast. When we get confirmation about the Battle Brothers live stream, I'll be sure to make a video on that. And James, it was great hanging out with you this Thursday night.
Yep. Always good hanging out with you.
And I guess we'll be talking again either early next week or for sure next Thursday.
Yep. Sounds good.
All right. So until then, guys, have a great rest of the week, and we'll talk to you next time.